So today our guest is Amy Schmidauer. She's a content and social media marketer and a social authority. I'm going to get to that title in just a second because I love that. In March of 2011, Amy started producing videos 3 days a week on YouTube, sharing her expertise. She is now one of the most sought after public speakers internationally, and got #1 best speaker at Social Media Day in San Diego last year. And you've been at a ton of different conferences and events. And we're going to list some of those for you at the end of today in case you want to get out and see her in person too. You're based in Ohio, but of course you're everywhere because today's technology allows us to do that, right?
That's right.
All right. First, so you're pretty much you grew your business on social media, right? Tell us how you got started, how your job today became what it is.
It's funny. I've just had a computer in my life for a long time. My mom was a tech teacher before it was cool. So it's just been something of a lifestyle for me for a long time. I've always just sort of used the internet for whatever I was able to. And eventually that became creating video content online. It wasn't necessarily because I wanted to create video content online. I just wanted to create video content and put it somewhere that people could see it, thus the internet being a thing. So that's really how it started. And I chose YouTube because it was convenient, not because I thought it was anything that was supposed to be some phenomenon, because this was back in 2008 or so. So that's how it really started. And I thought I was going to go into policy and lobbying and fundraising. And I did that. But on the side of that full-time job, I was just having fun making video content. I learned a lot about community building. And I found that small businesses wanted help with it. So I just was giving advice here and there. And it ended up being something that somebody said, you're really good at this, you should do this. And I was like, what do you mean? I don't understand, and it was sort of like, what? Social media marketing is something that is not only a trade, but something that I can make money on. And that's truly how I started the business. I started to really nurture that client work for little to no money on the side of the full-time job, just to get acquainted with the client experience and doing that sort of work. And honestly, I didn't go to school for marketing. So I was just probably discrediting a lot of what I actually knew by just doing the work. And after about 1.5 years of doing that, I just thought, okay, well, this is probably the best time possible in my life for me to decide if I'm going to work for myself. I need to give it a try. Young, no kids, and not a ton of responsibility or risk, and a lot of ambition. So I took the jump. I had my plan B, but I haven't needed it yet. So it's been really interesting and quite the ride.
Well, you obviously figured out you have something to share. You have found something, and people want that. Mm-hmm. How can that translate to what we do? We're school communicators. How does that translate?
Well, I think it translates because when you always keep your end customer in mind, and we all have end customers, it doesn't matter what you sell. It could be education, which everybody needs, but you still can't cater to everyone in the world. When you really understand who your customer is and what they want to know and how you can best offer that information to them, these things, this online world, it's just a tool. It's just a medium. And when you want to deliver that message effectively, this is just one way that you can do that. It's also a great way for accumulating data about those people. So I honestly think we're all in the same business. We're in the same business of just learning how to work with people and help people. And so when you use these tools to do that and keep your mindset around that these are the people and these are the ones that you have to help, then again, these are all tools, tactics, and strategies that can just help facilitate that. It's keeping the person in mind and what they actually need that you can help them with and make them think, oh, top of mind, I want to work with you, educator or consultant or brick and mortar shop. It doesn't matter.
Right. And you do all video. And when we talked the other day, we all, like you said, we all have a common thing. We need to share our stories, and you say video is something we need to do, right?
Absolutely. I mean, look at us. We're doing video right now. It's amazing. Yeah. We're all just hanging out in this room, right? Here's the thing. It's, not necessarily something and to be afraid of. I think most people think video and it's a little overwhelming. Of course, all the tools and technology are just bringing it closer and closer and closer to us. And we were fortunate in 2016 to now understand that the selfie is just a thing. People do it. It's I was doing selfies with a digital camera a long time ago, and then it became cool when the smartphone came out with a front-facing camera. But the thing is, video is personal. It's a personal connection. I'm looking at you. I'm not looking at the lens of a camera. I'm using the tool for what we could be doing in person. So that's really what is so special about video is it's all those senses at one time and as close as you can really get to a personal in-person experience, specifically with video conferencing, but even in a video itself, if you're just creating something that you're going to upload to YouTube, using that same mentality of, hey, I'm just talking to you. We're just talking, you and me. And when you really understand and wrap your mind around that, and that's how you use video, it's a lot easier to get past this whole idea of, oh God, I have to get on camera and talk. It's totally different.
Right. And I think a lot like some social media, video is very much one of those things where people are afraid, like, I just don't understand. I don't know how to get into it. I'm not sure. So, and it doesn't have to be a complicated thing. You don't need this giant camera with the tripod and all this audio equipment, right? I mean, really, It can be very simple.
Absolutely. And usually I just spoke to a client on the phone earlier, and I said what I always say. If you think you need to buy something and you haven't even dabbled in it yet, then it's just going to be burning money. Even myself, where I'm familiar with a lot of camera equipment and accessories and all these things, I know I could totally just buy and I would know how to use it and it would probably come in useful. I would rather prove to myself over and over and over and over again and be in pain that I need it before I go and buy it. And we live in such an amazing time with video that you have the capacity by just pulling the phone out of your pocket and taking video. And when you have that ability, if you don't even do it at all, then what's the point of going out and buying the equipment in the first place? You got to get past this barrier to entry of equipment. Most people are in 2016, most people are using equipment as an excuse for other underlying issues of not getting started with video, because we know that as soon as our dog starts doing something cute or our kid starts walking for the first time, boom, phones out, cameras on. There is no even thought process that happens. You just do it. It's the same thing for every other purpose. You pull the video camera out when something is happening. And that's when really special things happen when you're sharing video online. But to think you need to go out and buy the equipment, get the set, maybe we need a green screen. Do we have a microphone? I need a Diva light because I have too many wrinkles. Like that whole thing, it's just not worth it. Because if you're worried about all that stuff before you're worried about the message is just going to get lost in whatever product you come up with at the end.
Exactly. And you want to share exactly that message, that story, whatever it might be that we're capturing. So it doesn't have to be complicated. Mm-hmm. Your videos are short, like 2.5 to 3.5 minutes. Is that like one tip you'd share?
I would. I think when it comes to information-based video content marketing on YouTube, you really want to stay in the 5-minute realm. And my advice on this has very slightly adjusted, not a ton, but mostly just because YouTube likes to measure things in watch time now. Mm-hmm. So actually more minutes is better. When they see somebody like myself creating something that's more minutes, they're like, oh, great. Her watch time is going to go up, which means people are on our platform more. YouTube really likes that. But for the sake of getting your point across, likely if you can't get what you want to say out in around 2, 3, maybe 4 minutes total, you're probably going to lose viewers to somebody else. I think of it this way. If I'm trying to post a video that's going to be useful to somebody that may find it in search, I want to go see what other people have done so far, because if I need to make a video about it, I want to see what everybody else did. And if their timestamps are 4 minutes, 5 minutes, I want to be a little bit shorter. I really want to draw in those people that are in search saying, oh, well, this person did a 2.5 minute video on it and I don't have a lot of time. So I want to go ahead and pick that video. So it's kind of nice in search to go shorter is better. But at the same time, watch time is a big deal on YouTube right now. They're not even really saying views in the analytics anymore. They're saying watch time. They're telling you what views are. They really want to know how many minutes are being watched on the platform. That being said, you have to balance the two. YouTube likes minutes watched, but if you're trying to compete in search and you're giving a quick tip that took 11 minutes, you're going to fail. Like, you're just going to fail. People are not going to get on board with you. So you kind of have to earn your keep before you can go a little bit more lengthy in videos. But yeah, that's just all a part of audience and retention and building those relationships.
Mm-hmm. Where do you find your inspiration for your topics? I mean, you know, when you look through some of your videos, like we talked a little bit about the other day, I loved it that you pulled a lesson from Leonardo DiCaprio winning an Oscar. Do you just find them everywhere? I mean, is that something that we maybe as school communicators can do too? I mean, is it all around you?
I think the best thing you can do, and we've seen this so much in the internet world, we usually call it link bait, but anytime you can take what you do and compare it to something at a high level, something that's much more mainstream, and get people here with you based on something that may be of interest to them. You know, sure, I'd love to appeal to the people that were like, let's go, Leo, just win the freaking Oscar already. And that was a special moment, but it was also a testament to patience and success, and that there are no overnight successes. And of course, we want to call him an overnight success because it seems like he's been successful in everything he's ever done, but he had to work really hard before Titanic, right? And he just didn't get this particular piece until now. So it was all about, how can I teach something that I've probably taught 1,000 times already on my channel, but in a new way? Because the number one question I get is, how do you make so many pieces of content? How do you always have something to talk about? The reality is, we're all talking about the same thing pretty much all the time. We're just putting it in different contexts and teaching it in different ways, and thinking about who is on the other side of this lens right now, who's on the other end of this camera. When this camera delivers the message, who am I talking to, and how is this going to resonate with them? So it's a great actual tip, the Leonardo thing, to say, how can I take what I do and make it a little bit more mainstream? Because you're just going to get more eyeballs that way. If you're hyper focused, you'll get hyper focused eyeballs ideally. But sometimes I like to take what I'm doing and get a little bit outside of the business world and present it to people that might be thinking in a different way, but inspire them to maybe want to know my brand because I tapped into something that they're interested in on a different level. But yeah, I guess my inspiration comes from a lot of things. I mean, I'm fortunate to have an audience that gives me ideas all the time, and they may be asking the same questions over and over again, but I'm always in a different place and in a different mindset, and can think of new contexts to explain my feelings on that topic. And the really nice thing is that we have data on our side. YouTube, for me, is a gold mine because it's not only where I can host my content, it's the number 2 search engine on the planet. So if I go there and I go see what people are searching for, I will frequently find something that I can relate my content to, such as Leonardo DiCaprio. Oh, a lot of people are talking about Leo. I'm going to make a video about Leo somehow. How can I bring this back to home? So get inspired by data just being out there. We know so much about what people are doing, what they're thinking about, what they're searching for, what their passions are. Leverage that and say, how can we get those people to pay attention to us? Here's what we know about them.
Great advice. Someone just chimed in with a question. Using an iPad for video a lot, but just a question on what do you use? What would you use to edit on there? And what software would you suggest for using big files too?
So I'm a big Mac and Apple user. So for the iPad, I see people making video with iPad all the time. It's great, and I highly suggest iMovie, the app. I think it's $5. It may be a little more for iPad, but that's how much it is for iPhone. Honestly, when at the end of the day, you're just trying to clean it up a little bit and export it so you can upload to wherever you are, Facebook, YouTube, whatever your decision is. You only need something like an iMovie. If you're getting a little bit more intensive with your editing like I do, I'm using Final Cut Pro at this point for Mac. I just switched over from Adobe Premiere Pro. Final Cut's just a little bit faster for me. a lot faster when it comes to exporting time. But yeah, the bigger files tend to do really well in like a Final Cut Pro or an Adobe. The nice thing about the Adobe suite is that you can rent it. So it's like, oh, I'll just rent the Adobe suite for $30 a month or $50 a month, depending on how many applications you need, if you want like Photoshop and all those kinds of things. And if you don't like it, you just cancel your membership. That's fantastic for trying it out. Whereas a Final Cut Pro, they have like a 30-day trial, which is great. And then you just pay for it outright and it's over. So it's just sort of nice that there's a variety of ways you can go. I would say Final Cut, if you're going to go pro, is still a little bit more friendly from a newer to intermediate user standpoint.
Okay, good. Yeah, good to know, because some people use PCs and some people use Macs. So,
right.
And with the iPad or your phone or anything, you can upload, right, like you said, right to YouTube. Or if somebody wanted the file, Dropbox is another one that people can use to upload right from that device.
Absolutely. And the other thing I forgot to mention, which I always like to, because people have no idea, is that YouTube has an editor integrated into it. So if you actually, let's say you have 3 clips and you just want them stuck together, like doink, 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 export, you can just upload each of them individually to YouTube as private files, and then go to your desktop, pull up your YouTube channel, see those files are there. And in the Creator Studio in the back end, there's an editor, and you can very easily drop, add integrations like transitions, music, captions, and process a final file, and all without software at all. You do need a desktop or a laptop. You can't do it on an app. I think it'd be pretty difficult to do it on an app, but it's really nice if you don't want to. I mean, who likes the idea of editing on a phone or an iPad anyway? It's a little tedious as it is. So if you can just upload the files to YouTube and have YouTube export something for you, it's all there at the same time. It's really nice, especially for beginners who like the idea of even looking at a new piece of software. It's just like, I don't know about that. It can be all integrated in your YouTube.
Right. It can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
And you add your music from YouTube, don't you?
Yeah, there's an audio library there. Sometimes I'll go there. There's a lot of music in Final Cut Pro that are very frequently used, but they're kind of fun, so I use them. So Final Cut Pro has some assets you can use, but I really love what YouTube is doing with getting audio work from creators just from anywhere, and saying, if you want people to be able to use this royalty free, or there can be royalty free with credit, and they tell you, how do you use this music properly. You can even download it if you want to use an external editor and use that file in your external editor, just as long as you're giving credit as appropriately. And most of the time, it's not even asking you for credit. It's just there for you to use. YouTube does that because it means your content's going to be better. Everything on the platform is going to be stepped up in quality, and they don't want to be known as the home of cat videos. They want to be known as YouTube Red and movies and high quality. So offering that music was just a really, really brilliant idea, and definitely a resource to tap into.
Let's kind of say, obviously YouTube is a social media platform too, but let's talk like the social media, Facebook, Twitter. Those two seem to be the ones I think we're all getting more comfortable with. And then there's this thing called Snapchat, which freaks everybody out, right? So we have a few questions. People already kind of came in. Is it the huge platform that we need to be on next?
I guess it depends on who you're talking to. Because if you're talking to mom, I'm not 100% sold on that being worth your time at this point. If you're trying to get on the kids' radar, yeah, that's where their eyes are. You really just have to recognize it as it's a fun, informal, raw place. That is why so many people like it. The secrecy thing was just how it got its start. And trust me when I say, when Snapchat came out, I have younger brothers that are 10 years younger than me. So when they were in high school and Snapchat came out, I was like, it's the devil. Absolutely not joining that network. That's a horrible place. But the reality is, we as social media users continue to fundamentally communicate with these tools, and therefore the more real that they are, the more connected we feel. And that's what's so nice about Snapchat. There's no editing involved. It's very raw. This is my phone, this is what I look like. There's like 6 filters, and you add some text, and it's very self-explanatory, very simple, and it feels more personal because it's not a discovery platform. It's very hard to be discovered on Snapchat. You have to work really hard to cross-pollinate to get people to see that you're even there. So it feels special to people. And that is why it's gone crazy. Not to mention, they don't tell you how many followers you have. They tell you how many people are actually paying attention to every asset that goes out. And that's extremely valuable from a marketing perspective, because my 16,000 followers on Twitter, what's the big deal? I don't know what my impact has been. I can look at analytics and have a general idea, but with as much stuff that's going on, I can't guarantee it. And all I know is what truly happened with the traffic to my site and essentially maybe a product purchased. But from there, everything else is very relative. On Snapchat, I know how many people were looking at the screen because they couldn't do anything else while they were doing it, because their eyes are there. Snapchat measured it. I know if they screen kept it. So it's the metrics that are kind of nerdy cool about it, but it's the engagement and how people are hyper focused on the content there that's extremely sexy about it. But the demos, I mean, like, it just depends on who you're talking about or who you're talking to and whether or not they're paying attention there. And older demographics are certainly paying more attention there. It's just that they're still hanging out on Facebook. It's just a matter of who it is and how fast they're moving there.
And you don't put the exact same content on each of your platforms. You kind of market them differently. Give us an example of how you might put one thing on Facebook and a different thing on Instagram, let's say, or even Snapchat.
Sure. So just like I said, there's different people on Facebook for different reasons, different people on Snapchat. You have to just remember that these are each their own individual parties and they all have their own context. So at one point in time, you might be going to a black tie affair. The next thing you know, you're going to a football party. The next thing you know, you're going to a cocktail hour. We're all going to have different context, different attire, different subject matter, different ways of approaching each of these parties. That's what you think of social media as. Every platform is different. The context is different. So for me, to show up in a ball gown to the football party is probably not going to make a whole lot of sense. What I mean by that is if we treat each platform differently and we treat it the way it was supposed to be done and how people like to be presented there, how they like to be talked to there, how they like to receive information there, then it's more likely to actually be received. So on Twitter, where I only get 140 characters, I'm not going to use that many because I'm going to need a link at some point. It's a news feed, so I really need to pop. I'm probably going to use an image, but regardless, copy is going to be to a very short amount. And maybe even capital letters on the actionable item I want people to take. Because if I want to stand out, I need to make it very clear what I want. There's so much going on Twitter where it's just like news link, news link, news link. And it's a lot of noise right now. So standing out is difficult, but not impossible. It's just that people are getting a little lazy over there. You talk to people succinctly and quickly, and they will love it. Facebook is the scrapbook. Everybody over there is celebrating their life, their moments. I married, I had a child, somebody took their first steps. Like, all of these things are life moments. So when you're going to Facebook, you're posting something over there that feels like a life moment, that feels like something everybody can celebrate with you. You're going to want them to share it. You're going to want them to comment on it. All of these things are what elevates the content. Somebody can comment on stuff on Twitter. It's not going to elevate it anywhere near as much as it would on Facebook because the two operate differently. Facebook is heavily algorithmic. Twitter is experimenting with this algorithm situation, but it is still fairly chronological. So that's mega, not to mention the fact that I'm going to share the same piece of content on Twitter multiple times in a day because it is mostly chronological. Facebook, I don't have to do that. If it does well and I presented it in a way that's best for the context of the platform, people comment, people like, it's going to keep bumping up. That thing could live for 48 hours. Probably not, more like 24 hours. But still, we see people say all the time like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. It's International Women's Day. And I'm like, wasn't that yesterday? Oh yeah, that's because this post is 20 hours old and it's just still performing really well. That's what's possible there. Instagram everybody's different, right? I follow Michael Kors on Instagram, but I know for a fact every single post is going to be a piece of merchandise that I'm probably going to want to buy. But on my Instagram, it's meant to be more of a behind the scenes experience. And here's what I'm up to. Here's what I'm doing when I'm not sitting in front of the camera on video or working with clients, or maybe I am working with clients. Here's what that looks like. And because of that, I have to continue to stay with the context of that platform and the context of how pretty the pictures need to be and how well everything needs to be presented there. I'm not going to post the thumbnail for my video because that's just straight marketing when you subscribed for a more behind the scenes look. So it's going to be more like, here's this funny thing that happened while I was filming today. Lucy just walked over and sat right on my lap. Lucy is a dog. Sat on my lap. And, that would be a funny Instagram photo, just filming another video today. And then link in the bio, the only link you get is probably to the YouTube channel where you're going to be like, oh, she's making videos. How did I not know that? I'm going to go check them out. And then Snapchat is even less formal behind the scenes Instagram, but that's just how I use it. Everybody's different. It's just remembering context of each platform.
And each of those kind of, especially for you with YouTube, putting that stuff on Facebook and all these other platforms is what built your YouTube subscribers, right?
Sure. But there's a lot of ways to do that as well. Yeah. You want to leverage, no matter what you're doing, it can be online or offline. Everything we do, we leverage the connections that we have. So I get the question all the time, what do you do if you don't have a network? I'm like, really? Well, who gave birth to you? Do you not know anyone on the planet? Because everyone has a network. And I just spoke with a client earlier and it was, okay, I just went into business for myself, getting started now. Okay, great. You need to tell everyone you know right now. Send that email out to each person. Make it look personal or actually make it personal and say, hey, I just wanted to let you know I started my own business. Here's what I'm doing. And thanks for spreading the word if you know someone that's a good fit to send my way. You let people know what you're doing. So whatever networks you have, you let them know. And of course, social media has absolutely grown that by respecting those platforms, respecting the context, and saying, by the way, I've got a video out. It's huge for that. But you can also grow within a platform by collaborating with other people as well. And collaboration on YouTube has been a godsend for me. Because if I can just go show up on someone else's channel and they say, by the way, this is Amy and here's her YouTube channel, boom, subscribers. So there's a lot of ways to do it. Leveraging networks and collaboration. Collaboration is tremendous on any platform.
One of the questions that just came in, this is a good one. What metrics do you use on Facebook? What do you suggest we watch the most? Is it the likes? Is it the shares? What do you pay attention to?
I pay a lot of attention to impressions because one of my biggest pieces of success that I pay attention to is brand awareness. To give you a little bit more context, for me to share a video on Facebook, for a long time, I would just post a link to my blog. But Facebook doesn't make that look very pretty, so it doesn't get a lot of impressions. So I changed it. I'm going to say, I'm going to upload a photo and the caption's going to have a link to my blog. Okay, that did a lot better because now I'm uploading media to the platform. Facebook sees that, they push it a little bit more. Well, then Facebook decides they want to be the next YouTube. So if you're uploading video to the platform, they push that to no end, and videos are just popping to the top of the feed. So now I'm thinking, oh man, now I got to upload my videos to Facebook. I really didn't want to do that. And I pushed on that for a long time and I experimented okay, maybe I'll just upload 15 seconds and see what happens and see if people go over to the link. Not a whole lot. People just want to hang out there and watch the video. But when I succumbed to the whole thing and I said, fine, I'm uploading the entire episodes to Facebook, impressions went through the roof. Shares, comments. Now I have eyeballs I've never seen before because when somebody shares a video on Facebook, it's a different experience than when they share a link to a YouTube video because they have to say, okay, I'm going to share this. And if someone clicks on it and watches it, we may be able to continue the conversation. But if I share a Facebook video within Facebook, I know immediately my friends are going to see it play. Turn the audio on if you want, but you're definitely going to watch it because I shared it and I put it in front of you. It's a different experience. And therefore the virality effect is quite higher. It's not as impactful of views, but they're still important. And in Facebook, where it's very hard to get in front of your own fan base, much less more than your fan base, doing things that make Facebook happy and make the end user happy so they will share more is the holy grail. So you're really looking at impressions to see how far something went. But the impressions are going to tell you that you did well because of shares, because of comments, because of likes. And really, shares are where it's at, because it's so hard to organically get in front of new people, which is why Facebook ads are such a thing. But if you can do it organically, and you can do it because people truly give a crap, they're sharing your stuff, that's mega. So I'm paying a lot of attention to those impressions, because if I have high impressions, it's because people cared enough to share. And that is real impact.
And uploading the video directly, not putting that link, is what we'll have to do.
But I've reverted back too, because my YouTube presence is, my YouTube presence is so important. And that's been my focus for 2016. The beginning of the year, I decided to stop doing that. But the cool thing is, for so long, I was uploading the videos directly to my brand page. I grew such a rapport with the audience that now when I post links to the YouTube video and I upload a video or a photo as well, the impressions are still fairly high. The reach is still fairly high. But if I were uploading the video straight to Facebook, it would be incredible. It's just that when your focus is to grow this other thing, you have to decide, you have to pick.
Where ours might be Facebook, yours is YouTube, whatever our audience is. And just real quickly to clarify, impressions is the same as the people reached, correct?
Yes. Yeah. I guess I was using them interchangeably, but yeah, just sort of determine for reach is important. And specifically in video, I just want to clarify that a view is 3 seconds or longer, because videos can just start playing on the feed. So just keep that in mind, because reach, whether or not the video started playing, whether or not they got past the 3-second mark, that's what I sort of mean by impressions, is I'm sort of weighing all of those things happening. Because reach is awesome, because if you see my face, that's brand awareness. But if they never got to a point to learn my name, it may not be. So there's a little bit of balance there that you have to look at.
And kind of the next step is this whole live streaming. Where do you think live streaming and Periscope fits into, the world as we know it? I guess.
It's really kind of interesting, because, and lately I've been seeing a lot of people use Facebook Live as it continues to roll out to more accounts. But what's so funny to me is, remember, the context of Facebook is it's like the scrapbook, it's home for people, they're checking in with extended family. And, when people are popping on and they're live, I think it's quite a wild experience where Facebook, who is so in love with video, is now doing what I said it was doing with video before. It's doing that with live video, and live video is just shooting to the top of news feeds now. It's really interesting, but I also think it doesn't give you an excuse to be less quality. What's frustrating is when a live stream is happening and there's not really a clear reason why, or why somebody would actually take a moment while checking in with their family and their friends and maybe their ex-boyfriend, just to like snoop around, that they're going to look at you and what you're live streaming. And I'm just finding that since it's so new, getting organized around it is still to be determined. But what I love about live streaming is when somebody is in the mindset of watching it, the engagement is incredible. And I think that's the difference between Facebook and Periscope. When you're watching a Periscope live stream, you're doing it with intention. On Facebook, it's just sort of happening on accident. So on Periscope, the comments and everything that's happening over there is absolutely incredible. You do not have to have a ton of people in the room to have great impact, because you can see it in the comments, how people are receiving you and talking to each other. And these moments are happening around an event that you are doing. I don't think Facebook is quite accomplishing that yet, but at the same time, live is where things happen. There's a reason why people in my field have webinars. It's because people buy in a live format. There's a reason why the salesman wants to get you on the phone, because a live format works. So that's what's really special about it, is this impact really happens in a live environment. And that's why live streaming is such a big deal, because it's scaling those opportunities.
And this kind of brings me to one takeaway I had from one of your videos, that social media is not about followers, it's about engagement. Mm-hmm. And I guess kind of working in these other things, is that how we get that engagement?
Yeah. What's really cool about it is that if you can jump on something that's just driving a lot of engagement, it might still be new to you, it's worth experimenting with, because it means new eyeballs are getting to know you. It's engagement. What I'm worried about engagement is that marketers are kind of ruining this term for people. There's a question that I'm going to be answering on my YouTube channel this week, because someone's like, I'm online all the time, and I feel like I just spend so much time there, and I just can't possibly spend more time. I understand that I need to give engagement if I want to get. And what concerns me about that conversation is I've made engagement sound like an ugly chore to you, when what you're probably already doing online all day, when you already are spending time there, is the engagement that's going to end up being the most impactful, because they're probably the natural conversations that you're not even thinking twice about that are going to be huge for who you are and what you're trying to do. So my concern about the word engagement, and forgive me for just like bringing up that rant, but it's literally something I talked about yesterday, that we're ruining what it actually means, because it sounds like a chore, but the reality is it's what we do naturally as human beings. And it's just remembering that we're not getting on Twitter to just post 1,000 links. We're getting on Twitter to listen and talk to people. And when you do that, you're amazing. I tell people all the time that are like, I don't have a website yet. Should I wait to do social media? No, you should start now, because you won't have the urge to do nothing but post links to your website, because it doesn't even exist. All you can do is talk to people. And so it's kind of funny, but I just wish people would realize that that's all we're talking about here, is humans being humans to other humans. That's it.
Having a conversation. A couple other social media things that have come up recently, and just kind of throw your thoughts on Anchor. That's the recording, and Blab. Do you use either of those?
I do. Anchor, not a ton, because I don't like to spread myself too thin. What I like about Anchor is what Vine did for video. So Vine made it so simple for people to create video. You pull your phone out, because you forgot to do that apparently again, and then you download Vine and you make a 6-second video and you're done. I mean, like, that's it. That's all I get. But it was the fact that people could do it so easily. And it's a reminder that you can make video so easily. What I like about Anchor is that is as within reach as podcasting is for the average person or business or brand or whatever the case may be, or listener. Anchor is reminding you that you can create audio that is impactful and so fast and so easy. And it actually, I think, is going to encourage more growth in the podcasting industry, because it's the same thing that Vine did for video. You can just pop on Anchor, talk, and suddenly you've got a 2-minute podcast going out. And that's really interesting, because podcasts are absolutely incredible. You may not have a lot of people listening to your podcast, but when those select few are listening to you in their ears while they're multitasking, probably just listening to you for 30 minutes, that's incredible impact. I can't do that with my 5-minute videos. I have to have all of your attention for that 5 minutes for my video to be impactful. But if I just get a couple of points to you in a 30-minute period in your ear, that's incredible. And when you talk about touch points with people that are going to move the needle for you, that's big time. Blab, same thing. Totally encouraging the podcasting world, but more than anything, it's encouraging good engagement. It's just straight up human conversations with people. You literally just pull people onto the screen and talk to somebody that could be from God knows where, because they just happen to be on there. And that sounds actually a little bit scary, but for the podcasting world, it's incredible. They make it so easy for downloading the MP3 and the MP4. And if you just want to go and find out what people are talking about, it's a great platform. Video conferencing and the simplicity of that. If Google Hangouts on Air or Google Hangouts would have figured that out, they would be winning this big time right now. But they dropped the ball. They made it too hard.
Mm-hmm. There are a question that just came in. There are so many social media outlets. If you were to tell beginners where to begin, which outlet do you recommend?
I could not tell you, because it would have to be who you're talking to. I can't just say, oh, just go with Snapchat. It's like easy and video and text and this and that. No, it's all about who you're talking to. I can't pick one for you, because I just talked to somebody today that said, like, what? I was like, why are you not on LinkedIn? Why are you not on LinkedIn? You need to be on LinkedIn. And I never say that ever. But because of her scenario, there was no other obvious answer than that. So it's all about who you're talking to. If you do not respect the person that you're talking to, no matter where you go online, it's going to fall on deaf ears. If you're an author, you could go to goodreads.com. It's the best social network for readers and authors, and probably not a lot of people know about it. But if you want to make real emotional connections, especially fiction writers, where what you're doing really, it's hard to market a fiction book in my personal opinion, and from what I've seen in fiction writers that I've worked with, you need to make massive personal connection for your fiction work to matter to people. So go to a network like that where rabid readers are hanging out, reading reviews, looking for new content. It's going to depend on everyone. I'm in that social network more often, I think, than I'm in Instagram, because I love checking to see what people are reading, because I just love to read. But you have to know who your user is. That's it. Then you can hack the system and get in front of them.
Yeah, I want to make sure we get this in. Your mom's a teacher, well, a media center aide now, right?
Yeah.
And because we talked about, okay, well, if you were a school PR person and you kind of got to be a school PR person, can you kind of share really how you helped your mom out and where that went? Because she was very, right?
Yeah, my mom has been a teacher for more than 20 years. I don't want to age her, but I honestly just don't know the number. And she was always in my elementary school where I went. She was never my teacher, but she was next door at one point. Now she's a librarian, but I guess they're calling that media specialist. And I was like, Mom, we have the same title. How cool. And so what's funny is that I think her superintendent is really amped about social media and what they can do to let the community know the good work that the school system is doing. So when she came to me and said, we have a 30-day Twitter challenge. And I was like, what? You're kidding. And so there were just like these prompts and just challenging the teachers to share something that they were working on or the impact that they've had on the kids. And it was just fun to connect her with the functional side of it so she could focus on the content. Because I can't tell her what content to share. She's the teacher. She's the one experiencing it. She sees hundreds of kids a day because of her position. And so she had a ton of content to share. She just needed to wrap her mind around, okay, how do you do this in this platform? And I was able to kind of guide her through that. So that was really interesting, because education and social media, I definitely have not dabbled in as much as maybe services and product.
And there's so many stories to share that it's a great platform. We've had a few Twitter challenges here as well, and it's been fun. Speaking of that, though, another question coming in, what can you see as pros and cons of putting our principals or superintendents on video and giving their messages? Are there any pitfalls you think we should be aware of in doing that?
The pitfall is if they don't believe in it, then they're just going to suck. Like no one's going to want to watch that video, period. The hard part is getting somebody on camera that believes what they're saying and who they're saying it to. If you're trying to hustle your superintendent to get on video because it has to be him that's delivering the message, and here's the message, and here's who we're talking about, or here's who we're talking to, so get excited. That's hard to accomplish. They have to understand the why. They have to understand the impact. So I think the pitfalls are if somebody is supposed to be on camera and really represent the brand as a personality, and that's what this is, and they don't believe in it, it's going to shine through. So I think that's probably the biggest pitfall that I see. But at the same time, it doesn't always have to be that person. And I actually think it highly and strongly reflects the district, the school, whatever the case may be, to just put the person on that's had the idea and believes it and gets it. And that may motivate other people who wouldn't have in the first place to say, like, I really want to try that because I actually have an idea of what I want to share. I would empower the person that's really the idea person to be the passion person to kick things off. And you will end up finding that because you set an amazing example, you empower others to do it. So instead of cornering someone and saying it's got to be you, show people what the impact can be first. Lots of people watch my channel that never would have thought about making a video in their life, but because I sat down and gave some practical advice and did it in a way that was interesting enough to watch for 3 to 4 to 5 minutes, they said, I think I can do this too. And I think it's setting the example that you can avoid that pitfall.
And you have so much energy. Like, I love watching your videos. You get so much so quickly, and you can't.
It's just coffee.
It's just coffee. You can't create that. You can't give someone that. But I think I like your saying of, if they truly believe in it, I think that passion and that energy and that emotion will connect with whoever it is. So
That's
picking
right.
that right person, maybe, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it is 2 minutes after 1 o'clock. So we're going a little bit over, but if everyone wants to stay tuned, if we can go like 10 more minutes, a couple other things we want to get to. Do you have a closed captioning software that you would recommend or use?
Not a software. I do. There's a ton of companies out there that will do this transcribing and captioning for you. I was just on a show yesterday. Somebody recommended a company called 3Play Media that I've been looking at, but you can really hire anybody to do a caption file for you, and YouTube makes it really simple to upload. That's as close to the caption world as I've gotten, and a very important one because of the different people in different languages that want to know what you're saying. But yeah, not a software. I would just hire it out.
How do you get everything done? I mean, you do 3 videos a week. Do you do them all in one day? Do you do one each day? How do you what's your world like to create this?
Well, it's a lot of batching, and it's a lot of just keeping things organized. So I have a project manager that I use to sort of outline editorial, because when you have an idea, you got to write it down somewhere, especially if it's a video idea, because then it just gets lost, because I have a lot of those all the time. So it's about outlining the ideas, putting it all together wherever you find editorial to make the most sense to you, and then just referring back to it and setting the time. I live by my calendar. I absolutely live by my calendar. Every minute of my day is reserved on my calendar for something. It could be taking the dog on a walk because it's like 72 degrees outside for some freaking reason. I don't know. Or it's, I need to film 4 videos this week, so I'm going to do that during this time. And I'm going to lay out that many outfits I got to change into. And that's just how it is. Scheduling the time is the only way to get things done. I have a to-do list keeper for the things that are probably not that important until they end up on my calendar. My calendar is how I get work done. And it is a lot of batching, because otherwise you can end up making videos all week long if you want to, but I've got to do work too. So, so you set aside the time for marketing, and then you figure out where it fits into that batch.
Okay, one of your titles, I kind of brought this up at the very beginning, you're a social authority. Mm-hmm. How does someone get the title of authority? And what does that mean? Are we school PR authorities? Like, what's your definition?
You're an authority in what you know, and all you have to do is let other people know about it. And the reason why I am using this term of social authority is because we have all of these amazing tools that can help us let other people know what we're amazing at. But we truly are the authority. We just have to wrap our minds around that and say, yeah, I know what I'm talking about. That's really the first barrier to entry that people end up finding themselves in before they're like, am I going to make a video, or am I going to make a podcast, or am I even going to write a blog post? Like, you're only going to do it if you understand the content, if you know it. If you can stand in front of a person and have a conversation about something when they ask you a question, you can make a video about it. So embracing the fact that you are an authority, what is that authority? And how do you let other people know about it? What kind of content do you share with other people, the people you want to help, that they actually care about in the first place? They may not even care about what you do and how you help them yet, because you haven't told them what they want to know. That's what content marketing is, meeting them at their level of understanding and delivering that information to them. If I want you to work with me and let me coach your business, first I have to make a video about how to get more followers on Twitter, because that's what you're Googling. But I'm going to cater to that so that you will meet me. Hi, how are you? Here's some tips. And then we can go from there. I want you to get to know me, and I'm going to bring you down this funnel of getting to know my brand so I can help you in the way that I know I can best. It's the authority of knowing your space and then letting people know and leveraging social tools to do that. Anyone can do it. You just have to believe that you are the authority in your space, and then you have to just focus on it and why your end customer would care about it. And then the content builds out from there.
And we can see you on YouTube, and you've got your website, Savvy Sexy Social. Real quick, where do those 3 terms come from?
I just made them up one day. They were. So in 2016, I actually started making videos 5 days a week. So it used to be Savvy Tuesday, Sexy Wednesday, Social Thursday. And now really it's just the name of the show, Savvy Sexy Social. But the idea was, to be savvy makes a whole lot of sense to all of you, but so many cases, and especially in this one, like, how do we make social media sexy for education? Like, what are we going to talk about that people actually will want to listen to in places like Twitter or Snapchat? It's about making the messaging more sexy for your end users so they'll actually pay attention to you in the first place. And then social is obviously the social aspect of it. So that's where the 3 words came from. And I like the letter S. So that's pretty much it.
Perfect. And if someone wants to see you in person, what's coming up?
Sure. I'm excited. I just filled my Columbus mastermind, so that's not really an option, but I'm doing a business mastermind next weekend, which is great. But I'm also speaking a ton. The dates I have on the calendar right now are in San Diego for Social Media Marketing World, which is like the pillar event for social media marketing professionals. That's in April. And I will be speaking at Content Marketing Academy, which is in Edinburgh, Scotland. So if any of you are thinking about heading that way. And also Social Media Day, which the credential that you read earlier, Social Media Day San Diego, was where I spoke last year. But Social Media Day is an international day. I was going to say holiday, but it's not really a holiday. It's June 30th every year. So I will be speaking at the Chicago events for that this year. But all the details are at on my speaking page on Savvy Sexy Social.
All right, Amy, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And we can all continue to watch your videos from here on out. So we appreciate your time. And it's been very helpful. You've got some awesome content, and I think we can all use it for, no matter what other PR marketing that we're doing. So
thank you so much, Holly. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me.
Yep. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll be back next month. We're working on that date. I think it'll be the 2nd week of April. We're going to talk with David Zach. He's a futurist. So that will be a lot of fun too. So again, thanks everybody for joining us. Tweet out what you learned today. That's always fun to see, and we'll see you next time.